I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the sport right now, in the world, really. Obviously, there's a charter agreement that's not finalized. There's a TV deal that's not finalized, and the election is next year. So I think for Matt and Kaulig Racing and where they are, obviously he's a businessman and he's making business decisions. And I think we were close to doing a deal. I feel like it was a probable option. I feel like I had a few deals, and Rick just kept coming and calling and just gave me a really good deal. And I believe in what they've been able to do, especially with the RFK Alliance. Brad Keselowski and Steve over at RFK were very helpful in my decision process. They were convincing as well. So yeah, I think with our alliance with RFK, Rick Ware, I think maybe on the surface it might look like an odd move, but there's a lot more depth to it than you might think.
Why sign now? Why not kind of wait out and see maybe what else follows?
Yeah, so great question. Unfortunately, it's obviously an awkward time to sign and release. This deal with Rick was done pretty much the week of Chicago, so probably a month ago at this point. I mean, it's been done for a while. But to get sponsors and to sell a certain car, you have to release that, right? So we had to put it out there that I was making the transition to RWR and that we could start to sell that sponsorship. If you are trying to look for sponsors and figure out, and Rick's trying to look for sponsors to make the business side of the sport go around, but you can't sell anything because you don't have anything signed, it's impossible. So for us, obviously, it was important for us to release that, to get all of our sponsors signed and ready for next year. And obviously, it wasn't the best. I want to do the best for Matt Kaulig and Chris Rice, and they've been really good to me for a long time. But for me personally and selfishly, we had to release and sign.
Why sign with Rick so early and not maybe see if there were other organizations would have some movement?
Like I said, RFK and RWR wanted me, and they were very persistent, and I like that. And Rick gave me a really good opportunity and a really good deal that I kept laying in bed thinking about and wanting to take. And I think Rick, I don't want to speak for Rick, but I think back to where Spire was a few years ago. A lot of people were kind of wondering why Spire was in the sport, especially after our win together, and they just thought it was a money grab or whatnot. And I think Rick really wants to show people that he's here to win races, and they just won an NHRA race last week. I mean, Rick Ware in all forms of motorsports is a race-winning championship caliber team, and he wants to drive his NASCAR program to that. And signing me a full-time driver was, I think, one of his first steps after the RFK Alliance, and we want to change the narrative. Rick wants to change the narrative, and I think it was important for him, and I believe in Rick and what he's been able to do. I mean, I raced Custer all last week for 20th, and it's just a process. I mean, I get that, again, maybe on the surface it doesn't look like the best move, but I think come 3-5 years, especially like I mentioned, the charter agreement, the TV agreement, and just the political uncertainty of election being next year, there's a lot more to it than just the sports side of it, and I have to protect myself.
It's a multi-year deal, Justin. How big of a deal was that to have that security?
Well, honestly, Rick wanted to sign me for a lifetime, and I had to keep backpedaling. He wanted to sign me forever, and that's where Kaulig was too. I mean, I called Chris and Matt after it went out, and they both told me they would have loved to stay with me forever, but the economics of the sport right now are just not in a position where a driver like me who doesn't have a lot of sponsorship can thrive. And Chris and Matt both told me that. They said, we'd love to have you forever. Chris mentioned yesterday that in an interview that it wasn't performance related, it's purely economics of where we are as a sport right now. And like I said, Rick and everyone at RWR was giving me a chance and an opportunity, and just for me as a future, I think it's something that we both can build around, and I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I'm really so excited to step into this role and hopefully be what the team can build around.
Justin, would you sign with the RWR without the RFK Alliance?
I mean, that's a tough question. I think Brad was definitely part of some of the conversations and meetings that I had. I think without RFK, I didn't even realize when I went to RWR that they are in RFK's shop. I just thought I was going somewhere, and Rick sent me RFK's address, and I'm like, hey, that's not your race team. And I didn't even realize that it was in RFK. So that's a tough question. I think, Rick definitely has shown a lot of want to win and want to run better, and I think the RFK Alliance was the first step. Probably not, to be honest with you. But it's just the direction. I mean, you have to, if you don't have a manufacturer-backed team, you have to sign with someone like that. Same with Kaulig, right? Kaulig Racing is not a Chevy-backed team, tier 1 level. We're not a Hendrick, we're not a Trackhouse, we're not an RCR. So you have to align yourself with a larger organization to get some kind of data. So, for me, I'm in an alliance team now with Kaulig, and it's the same with RWR. I'm going to an alliance team to a bigger organization. Obviously, I'm excited Ford gets a new body next year, so I think that'll be a good step in the right direction as well.
Will you be the number 15 or 51?
No idea. Don't care.
Okay. How do you go forward with your team now for the rest of the season?
We're fine. Everything's fine. Rick and or not Rick and Matt, but Chris and Matt were great on the phone. I didn't talk to them till after it was announced, and I called both of them, and they understood it. And like I said, they told me that they would love to have kept me forever, but the economics just weren't there, and that's just where we are. So I think I could have done another deal with Kaulig, but like I said, for where everything at in the sport and country is right now, I think long term this is better for me.
So Justin, trying to read between the lines a little bit here. So is it a situation where Kaulig's telling you hey man, we're not sure about next year, we'll try to find something,
Yeah, no, we were working. I mean, me, Matt, Chris, Matt's team, everyone was working on getting a deal done. None of us gave up on each other, and we won't the rest of the year. It's just where the sport's at. I think that it'll probably work out for the better for them to have a driver with a little bit more backing behind them and help them out in that way. And I think Rick took an opportunity on me, and I took an opportunity on him, and I honestly it'll probably work out for the best. But I'm excited to stay with Kaulig for the rest of the season and finish off. I mean, there's absolutely no bad blood. It's not like I left on bad terms or they fired me or anything. I mean, it's just business. It's just business.
So, I guess the thing is that when somebody comes to you, like you were saying with Rick, and he's they actively are showing how much they want to invest in you and want you, that's a very powerful thing as a driver, especially where, so much of this industry is, oh yeah, maybe, or year-to-year stuff, and if they're we want you, I mean, I'm sure that's a big draw.
Yeah, like I said, for Rick, I think, again, don't want to speak on Rick, but I think he wants to kind of change the narrative of where he is at on the NASCAR side of things, and signing a driver like me full-time, I think is going to be great for that organization. Obviously, he mentioned that I take care of race cars to the best of my ability and don't cause a lot of on-track collisions, and that's big for a smaller team to have a driver that isn't 100%. Oh, Claire, you're really up close there. Then it gets you a better mic if you got to be that close. But I just think I think it's a good fit over there, yeah.
So when you talked to Chris and Matt on Thursday, what was that conversation like?
It was fine. I tried to call Matt before. He didn't answer. I'm sure he's playing golf or something. Obviously, he's a busy man, and it went out. And then, I called, or Matt called me back, and we talked. It was fine. He said, "Hey, I'm happy for you." Again, I wish we could have worked things out. Just wasn't right time or place. Obviously, I again really appreciate what Matt and Lee Filter and everyone at Kaulig Racing has done. And then after I got done talking to Matt, I called Chris. He didn't answer. He was busy on another call. I'm sure he was busy, and then he called, and he was fine too. I mean, like I said, there's nothing bad that came from this. It was just where they are at as a race team, where I'm at as a driver, and it's just how the world works. I'm pretty proud of how well Rick and us kept it a secret. I really kind of wanted to be in control of releasing it, and when it was right for me, like I said, it had been done for quite a while, and I'm excited to be on Rick's team. I think we have a lot of great partners and some good sponsorship that we're going to release pretty soon that is probably going to be an even bigger story than me going over there.
There was a perception that like your Uncle Todd helps fund your career, that he had, he owned charters at one point, but he doesn't own any charters.
No,
that I can tell anymore, correct?
No, if we owned charters, I would probably have sold them to Dale Jr. and went and bought a boat. Yeah, I wish it would have been a lot easier. But yeah, no, that's all rumors and just fake.
So you need defined funding.
Yeah.
To go
Yeah.
to Rick's. Just
We all
like
do.
everyone.
Yep. I mean, maybe not some of them, but yeah, no, it's all me, Bob. It's me. Obviously, Uncle Todd helped me for a long time and is still helping me just because of his resources and knowing of the sport and his connections. But it's me. It's me fighting for my life each and every week and just trying to do the best I can.
You've considered. Go ahead. Justin, you've built your career largely in both in the Cup and Xfinity Series at Kaulig Racing. In what ways have you found it difficult or to accept kind of what the circumstances are? Has it been difficult in any way, or are you just accepting that this is part of it?
No, I think it's a great move. I mean, it was my decision to move on and go to RWR. I mean, Matt and Chris, like I said, have given me a lot of opportunities and have been extremely good to me, and I appreciate all they've done for me. But for them as a race team and me as a driver, it's just how business works. So I'm not saying it's an easy decision. I mean, it was extremely hard. Thursday was probably one of the more nerve-wracking days of my life when it was released, just because of how it was perceived. But there's a lot more depth to it than what people might think, and I'm really excited for this opportunity.
When does the big announcement come out that you said would be even bigger than this? When are we going to hear that?
Probably when we win the Daytona 500. I don't know. I mean, it's just.
No, you said there was other news.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's sponsor news and there's all kinds of announcements, and there's a lot of good positivity and great people are bringing on board. I don't know when it's coming out. I mean, it could be the week before Daytona, but I'm really excited to have some of the partners that we've been talking to and start moving forward in a good direction.
Go ahead.
So you've considered AJ Allmendinger as a dad these past few years.
Yeah.
How tough is it going to be not being a team interface next season?
It was fine. I mean, AJ sat next to me on the plane, and we didn't talk a word about it. We just we're having fun like we normally do on the plane. He sits right next to me, and there's no issue. We're going to have a great time the rest of the year, and I'm always going to be around seeing him.
There was a rumor that you didn't bring you pay to play, and that you had to bring sponsorship, and maybe you couldn't bring enough to Kaulig, and that you had to find something else. Is that true, that you had to bring so much and couldn't deliver that, and that's why?
Well, I mean, everyone has to bring a certain amount, and I'm not going to say that we weren't close to a deal, but yeah, like I said, I think everyone has to just kind of see where they're at in position of the sport. I mean, I feel like I have some really good sponsors behind me, and I feel like, again, we could have probably done a deal, but I think in the end it'll probably work out best for them and me.
Mm-hmm. And how do you race with them headed into this weekend? You're, like up on the wheel, trying really hard, as always, looking ahead.
Race with who? Kaulig?
Yeah.
It's no different. I'm still a Kaulig Racing driver till the end of the year, and already confirmed with Chris, I'm going to the Christmas party. He's coming to my wedding over the off season, so it's all good.
You said it got done before Chicago, is that correct?
Yeah.
When did Rick first reach out to you?
He didn't know I was available for a while. I think he was just kind of feeling it out. And then I think he started to realize that I was available. And, I'd say probably right around the All-Star race is where we started talking. And then, yeah, it was, it had been pretty much done for a while. And Rick really wanted to announce it right after Chicago, and we just weren't quite ready yet.
And you almost won Chicago right after that deal got done, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, but no, I'm excited for this.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
This is Daniel Hemrick, driver of number 11 Kaulig Racing Chevrolet. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, check out one of those 2 videos beside me. Visit frontstretch.com for more racing content.